welcome back to another video. So as you can tell, we're back working on the MB Miata. Got the front end and the headlights all put back on there, so everything's looking good. Just got to really get the hood back on there and should be all complete again. But I'm hoping this would be kind of like the last video of doing the whole high compression swap in this thing. I just wanted to spend some time actually tightening some things up, making it clean, and kind of making it my own, kind of customizing a few things the right way and kind of how I want it to look. So the main thing is really just getting this coolant reroute all fixed up, because for some reason this thing is just sitting all wonky, and after doing some research and talking with the gentleman that had this whole setup before, he did not have AC, so that's really a big thing that's kind of running in my way. So that kind of makes a lot more sense. So I might have to redo this whole hard line here and kind of figure out something custom, because I really want to try to shoot it somewhere kind of in between the frame rail and under the intake there. So I want to figure that out, but I do also have a coupler to build a custom intake. So instead of going over the head of there, it'll actually come over to the left here, right behind this headlight here, and then hopefully in the future, chop a little hole out of here with a nice pipe going through it and build like a nice custom cold air intake through the headlight. That would be pretty sweet. I also picked up the idle control valve, so that's one of the first things I do want to start working on, so I'll get working on that. And I also would like to get the full dual exhaust muffler section put back on this thing, so I actually hear this thing with a full exhaust, because with just that mid pipe, this thing is just way too loud. So really want to get that muffler put on there, but I still need to chop the hole for the second tip on the back, so I'll probably push that off for another day or two, because I'm kind of going to be working on this thing kind of throughout the week a little bit here and there whenever I have some free time. But right now, I really want to start working on the throttle body, or at least this idle control valve, because it should be pretty easy. It's just a couple bolts holding the throttle body in there. And normally it's just these two bolts on the bottom that hold it to the throttle body, but they're Phillips screws, and I really don't want to strip them out, so I'm just going to pull the whole throttle body off. It's super easy, just a couple plugs and a couple, like the intake, a couple bolts right there. So it shouldn't be too bad. Get that pulled off and get that swapped out, because I really want to know if that's actually my issue with the high idle. I'm really hoping it is, and then I can actually hear this thing with a nice smooth idle, no check engine light on the dash and all that, so hopefully that'll be good there. And then if that's good, we should be good to go. Start working on all the small stuff, getting that all fixed up, and then making this thing clean and getting it ready to actually be dailyable and drive on the road for a good time. So I'll catch you guys in a little bit once I get the throttle body off, and I'll update you guys with what I got going on. So I got the throttle body pulled off of there, super easy, and luckily I didn't tear that gasket, so I can reuse that. And then I got the throttle body off, ended up loosening these screws up real quick. This front one was super easy to loosen up, but this back one was a pain. So luckily I had one of these screwdrivers with that square end, kind of just using an open end wrench, giving force on it and just twisting at the same time. Finally got it without stripping it, so now I can just swap this with the new part. So this should just be super easy. Swap that over, put this throttle body back on there, and technically I can just start it right up and see if it fixed it. So I'm gonna get that swapped out back on there and start it up and see what happens. So really crossing my fingers on this, because if so, this is just a $20 fix. If not, then I got some bigger issues to start looking into. So let's see what happens. So I got the throttle body all mounted up with the new idle air control valve on there. I ended up needing to make a whole gasket for that thing and all that. So luckily I got that all done, got it all plugged in. So kind of the moment of truth. Let's see if we have any issues with idle or check engine light on the dash. Only one way to find out. Oh, it's idling better. It's still idling high. Let's see if she'll come down a little bit. I don't know. We're not looking too hot there. Not looking too hot. And just figure something out. Maybe I have something hooked up wrong, or something's just not reading right. So I guess I'll figure that out tonight. We'll see what we can get done. I'll update you guys whenever I get kind of an update on this thing. I started working on something else. So after doing some research, I'm really leaning towards maybe it's the coolant temp sensor. It's kind of throwing it off a little bit because for some reason it's not reading up on the dash completely. It'll kind of go up just a hair and kind of go back down. It kind of fluctuates and kind of acts a little funky. So I think I'm going to replace that real quick, especially since I'm going to be messing with the whole coolant reroute system and the sensor's already on the pipe. So if I end up redoing the pipe, I'm going to end up putting a new sensor in it anyways. Or if I end up keeping this pipe, I'm just going to replace it just because it's like 10 bucks. Replace it, and then hopefully it'll fix the dash, and then hopefully this idle issue as well. That'd be sweet. So I'm gonna actually get the coolant drained on this thing, and then actually start pulling off the coolant reroute pipe on the top with the coil pack as well, just kind of get a little bit more room for back there, getting up to the hoses. And I'm actually gonna start playing around with a couple ideas, just kind of see what I can do, getting the pipe to kind of lay more under here, kind of in between the frame rail and the intake there, and kind of figure out an idea of what I want to do, if I have to remake this whole pipe or if I can just keep it, maybe shorten it down a little bit and kind of relocate a few things and just kind of get it to fit up as best as possible. So let me get working on that. So I got the top of the coolant reroute kit all pulled off of it. I got that big hardline pipe out of there, and I ended up pulling off the coolant temp sensor, and that thing definitely looks like it's seen some better days. So I'm definitely gonna replace it. I already got it ordered up and it should be here tomorrow. So in the meantime, I'm just trying to figure out how I want to get this pipe. I really want to keep this pipe as much as possible, so I'm just trying to see how I can get the lay, and I've been trying to fish it under the intake manifold here, and it seems like it'll go. It's just this thing's way too long to even get it up under there without having to remove a bunch of things. So I think I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit for now so I can kind of get a better idea. I might need to shorten it up just a little bit more, get it all fit in there right. But I'm definitely going to have to drill a new hole for the temp sensor since it's right here in the end. Probably have to drill it more in this area, but it should be super easy. Just drill the hole, tap it, and then thread it right in. But I'm going to get this pipe all chopped up, try to get it fitted in there, and see what we're looking like. So I ended up shortening up the hard line about 3 to 4 inches. I marked it at my first tape line, and then I cut that. Needed about another ½ inch more, so these are my 2 pieces I got left over from it. So now I got it all mocked up in here, and this is looking 10 times better. Got the 1.6 upper air hose snaking right down to the hard line, going right under the intake manifold there, down to a silicone hose to the back of the head. I did have to extend this hose just a little bit just to kind of give me the room to snake around the intake manifold there, but other than that, this is looking so much cleaner. Now I can just put the coolant temp sensor in the back line here somewhere. I'm thinking about right in this angle here, just so it makes it a little bit easier to get the connector on and off and do all that. The only things I'm worried about with this setup is I'm really close to this gas line here and these AC lines, so I might just put a little bit of heat wrap along this whole coolant line just to make sure it's a little bit cooler and try to save those lines from burning up or anything, but it shouldn't be that much heat, so it should be fine. It's better than being on the header side, but now that I got all this mocked up, it's looking a lot cleaner on this side. I can start figuring out my intake setup because I really want to route it over to this side on the passenger side here instead of being close to the header, getting all that hot air. The only things I have to relocate is the MAF sensor and the intake temperature sensor right in the bottom there. It's kind of hard to see, but I just got to figure out how to get those over here and kind of integrate them with the filter and this MAF setup, kind of all kind of combined right in here. So I'm going to figure out that. I also would like to get the PVC line somehow over here, so I'm gonna figure all that out and we'll see what I can come up with. So the air intake actually came together pretty dang quick. Luckily I had a good idea inside my head and seen a few pictures of other people's ideas, so this is how mine came out. Just a super short ram intake. It's just a 2.5 inch coupler to a 2.75 90, and then I go straight to the MAF there to the air filter. And then for the 2 sensors, you got your MAF sensor right there, which is super easy. And then for the intake air temperature sensor, I just drilled a hole right into the air filter there, and then used a grommet to sit it right in there so it sits nice and flush. So now I just got to get it all wired up. And then if you know, for the Miata harness, you got the crank sensor, power steering pump, and then you got your MAF and IAT sensor right there, and it's all in this long harness because normally it's supposed to go all over here. So I really want to unloom a lot of this harness and pull these wires out so they come out more around right here and kind of just shoot straight over, make it look a lot cleaner, and then just have these 2 wires coming over for the crane sensor and the power steering pump, and then that'll tidy all that up, make it look a lot better. Luckily this air filter kit fit with the coolant reservoir. That was kind of my big thing. I'm probably just gonna buy a brand new OEM one just so it looks nice and clean instead of this old yellow one, but I might try to clean it and see how it does. Definitely have to like redo the hose a little bit because it's just sitting right on the air filter. I just need to lengthen it just a hair. But other than that, I'm gonna get that wiring all knocked out and I'll show you guys when I get this all finished up. So I got all my wiring figured out. So I ended up just splitting everything off from right around here. Got my crank sensor and power steering plug going on its own harness on that side. And then you kind of see it loop around here. Got my IAT sensor and MAF sensor going over there. Those wires are definitely a little long since they're normally supposed to go all the way around over here. So I kind of just looped them up like you would an extension cord, taped it very lightly so it's not super squished. And it cleaned it up a ton since those wires got really short. So now this is looking a ton better in the front. I'm super happy on that. So since I was messing with some wiring, I ended up just messing with the coil pack wiring since these were super close to the coolant temp sensor right there. So I ended up just giving myself about 6 to 8 inches of room so I can kind of have a little slack in it. And that thing was a pain in the ass to unplug before, so that should make it a ton easier. So now that I'm just waiting on that coolant temp sensor, that's pretty much wrap up everything in the engine bay. Once you get that in, get that hole tapped and get it all plugged up. So that's pretty much there. So now I'm kind of just waiting right now. I can start working on the exhaust. I do want to put this mid pipe on just because it's got a little bit nicer muffler right there and no O2 sensor in the center, so I can get rid of that and actually start mounting up the axle back. I think I got it back here. Yep, it's kind of tucked in there, but I got a dual tip axle back that I want to put on this car, but as you can tell, this thing's only got one hole cut out, so still need to chop the hole out on this side and then try to make sure these mounts all line up, do all that. So I'm gonna get this thing jacked up a little bit so I can start playing around, getting this mid pipe on, and then start figuring out how the axle back's actually gonna mount up on the back there. What's up, guys? So it's actually the next day now. Last night I ended up getting the old mid pipe pulled off the MB and mounting up at least the newer, nicer one to me on the car, and then I ended up actually bolting up the dual exit axle back. It's gonna be kind of hard to see in this lighting, but I got a tip there and a tip there. So normally there's only one hole in the MBs, so for this I just ended up mounting up that one side and then just kind of leaning it up until I kind of seen where this tip was laying, and then just cut it out a little bit and kept sanding it till it fit about right and kind of matched the other side. And then I was gonna show you guys, but there's no point of showing you guys mounting up an exhaust without being able to actually hear it, and I forgot that I held the whole Coolant Reroute kit all pulled off, the coil pack pulled off, so I couldn't even start it. So today got the new sensor in, kind of see it back there, got it in there. I ended up just drilling and tapping that hole, threading it right in there, worked perfect. The only thing is I'm just trying to get that thing to seal right. I put it in there the first time and then just had the smallest little drip coming from it, so I had to reseal it, drain the coolant again, do all that. So hoping it's all sealed up now. Got it filled up with some coolant, so it's a moment of truth to actually hear and see how she sounds, and actually with the new intake as well. So let's get this baby started up and see how she's sounding. Where is the keys is the real question. That's a fun one. Let me find the keys and then we're gonna have to start this baby up. I found the keys, so let's start this baby up and see how she sounds with the new exhaust and new intake. I'm actually hoping the coolant temp sensor fixed the high idle issue, so we'll see. Okay, the high idle's still there, so that's sick. Keep fighting it, but hey, the exhaust sounds pretty good. Not complaining about that. Let's get this thing to idle a little lower. One. Fixed it. Stupid. But I'm actually gonna start filling this thing up with some coolant and then letting her warm up a little bit, see how she does. Make sure this thing ain't leaking, doing any of that. Super glad how this exhaust sounds. This thing was super loud before. Sounds so much better. So I'll definitely get you guys some exhaust clips in a little bit, at least once this thing's warmed up a little bit. So it's actually been like a couple hours since that last clip. I've literally just been sitting here staring at this thing, trying to figure out what's up with the high idle and why is it surging and doing all that. Reading a bunch of forums and kind of reading up what other people had issues with, the same thing. And everyone's just saying clean the throttle body, clean your intake manifold, clean your MAF sensor, replace your idle control valve or clean it. I replaced the idle control valve. I tested the MAF. The MAF is good because when I unplug it, it drops the idle like crazy and doesn't want to run right. Plug it back in, runs great. Other than that, I don't see any vacuum leaks on the whole intake manifold. Everything is hooked up fine. Everything's looking good. So I think I finally fixed the issue. I literally was just messing with the idle adjustment screw. So this is going to be kind of the moment of truth. If I can find the keys for this thing. So let's see if this thing will idle at lower than 1500 RPM at least. Oh boy. Okay, come on. Shot for me, girl. Oh, let's go. I think I fixed it. Oh, I'm so hyped. God damn. Sounds so much better already. I literally just screwed in this screw right here. A little adjustment screw for the idle. Seemed to fix it a ton. I literally had to screw that thing in like a ton to get it to lower this far, but it seems to be sounding good. Drops down. That's it. Yep, drops down, no problem. No lights on the dash so far, so I'm pretty stoked on that. So let me give you guys a little rev on this thing, because I'm pretty sure this thing's warmed up enough for you guys to at least hear it a little bit. That looks good. Back to crispy, right at like 1,900. Oh, I'm beyond stoked on this right now. Now I can actually drive this thing, get it registered, and drive around the block and drive it on the street and test her out and see how she feels. So pretty happy on that. What's up, guys? So it's actually the next day now. So last night I kind of ran out of daylight to kind of take the thing for a test drive. So today I can finally take it for a test drive. Here are the new exhaust sounds and the new intake, actually under some load and giving it a good couple of rips. So got her pulled outside, let her warm up a little bit. High idle definitely came back, so I just unplugged the idle control valve for now, and it seems to be all right. I'm just gonna rock it for now with the check engine light. And I think I also fixed the coolant temp sensor on the dash, but it's still acting a little funky. So I let it warm up. You can kind of see like it's reading like it would normal, but if you guys notice it throughout the video, the thing's just gonna slowly creep almost to the H, but it's not overheating at all. Like with my temp gauge, the thing is reading perfectly at like 200 degrees, 180, 200, so it's perfect. Fans kicking on, no issue, so I ain't really worried about it. Don't stress about it. But if you guys know any idea with the high idle issue that could help me, please let me know, because this thing is driving me insane. So I'm gonna get this thing pulled out, get it on the street, and let's take it for a couple pulls. So far, this thing is driving great. Just got the check engine light on the dash. Other than that, that's it. This thing drives amazing, and it feels really good too. A little low. Let's go after this one bump. Let's feel a little first gear pull. If this van doesn't pull out in front of me. got like the perfect height in the front, but the rear's a little low. But I really think I'm gonna build this thing to be a stance car. I don't know, I still haven't decided. Track car or stance car. You guys tell me. Alright, I'm in a little bit of shock right now because I just pulled this thing in the garage and I was like, I'm curious what the rev limiter is, because I was told this ECU has a chip in it, so it makes 170 horsepower supposedly with this high compression motor, and it's supposed to be a super high revving engine. So I'm like curious what the rev limiter is. So you guys gotta see this. This thing's gonna eat. I think it was like 72 to 70 to 300 RPM. Oh, this thing's gonna be a monster if I end up taking it to the track. But stance cars are really my thing, so it's gonna be a hard one. So I'm pretty happy with how much work we got done in today's video, from the new custom air intake to redoing the whole top of the coolant reroute, cleaning this whole side up, and actually cleaning up the whole front of the engine bay. So everything's looking a lot better and so much cleaner, so I'm pretty happy on that. And also getting the whole new exhaust on with the dual tip axle back, and then I actually got some lighting. I can show you guys a little bit better, so those are looking good. My hole on the driver's side is looking pretty good compared to the stock one, so pretty happy on that. I'm thinking in the future maybe chop those tips off, put some big old blast pipes on there. I think that would look pretty sick, especially if I keep this thing a stance car. But other than that, I just got to fix that high idle issue, because that thing's just been fighting me ever since I got this thing started up for the first time. And at this point, I'm probably just going to leave the idle control valve unplugged and rock it with the check engine light. It's going to have a little bit of a high idle still, but other than that, it doesn't affect the drivability at all. It just kind of sounds a little funky, but I'm pretty stoked on that. Other than that, everything else came together pretty dang quick. I just really got to get the hood on there and the skid plate, but those should be pretty easy. Probably knocked out in my free time whenever I'm not filming on one of these projects. So we'll see whenever I got some time for that. But I'm still kind of stuck in between if I want to keep this thing a stance car or build it a track car. I'm kind of leaning towards a stance car since it's already pretty much slammed on coilovers. It's got like an inch of clearance on the back already. The front's raised up a little bit just because I kept hitting the fender on this side. So just raised it up for now, just while I was doing this whole swap and all. But now I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this thing. If I make it a track car, I'll end up jacking it up, putting on some like 15 by 10s with some like 245s, and go beat the hell out of this thing at the local track. That's probably 45, maybe an hour away from me. And then, so that would be pretty sweet. But I think a stance car with some big old tilt, big wheels and all that, like pretty dang sweet. Build a custom body kit and do all that. So well, let me know what you guys want to see. But other than that, I think that's gonna be the end of today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, hope you like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.